Hi guys, I got some questions from yesterday, so here are your answers. Now, one of the questions was, what is the difference between the Supreme Court and the federal courts? So it's sort of like our whole nation states thing. So the Supreme Court is a federal court, but not all federal courts are the Supreme Court. The federal court system is what we call the judicial branch. However, at this time, until Congress sets up the remaining pieces, it's really the Supreme Court. So I use them interchangeably because the federal courts are under the Constitution in a way, but it's really just the Supreme Court at this time with the creation of the Constitution. And then almost right after, with the creation of the Bill of Rights and the first Congress, they start setting up additional courts. Now today, that court system comprises of the Supreme Court at the very top, then federal courts of appeals, then the district courts are the workhorses. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the judicial branch when we get to that chapter, which is at the end of this course. There are some specialized courts as well, but the main ones are, of course, the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeals, and the federal court. I use them interchangeably, I'm sorry, because the Supreme Court is a federal court, but not all federal courts are Supreme Courts. Next question. The rest of Chapter 2 eligible for the test? Yes, remember, we've needed to finish up Chapter 2, which was the Constitution's created, what does that look like? And then it goes into Chapter 3 with the ideas of federalism. So yes, those are that. And then I will post for the next unit what chapters we're on as well, which is the civil liberties. Not civil rights, but civil liberties, okay? What stuff from the assignments will be highlighted on the test? Like the clauses and their locations and examples, Federalist 51, etc. Okay, so some of these things that we did in class, I would usually maybe do a lecture on, and we know that all lectures are usually eligible for the test. So yes, limits, clauses and phrases, the preamble, all those things are eligible. Those are concepts or vocabulary-based things that would show up on the test. Federalist 51 might not be a bad thing to do in the sense of a general idea, but you don't need to get down to specifics. Neither will there be a question on your seminar on this test either. So yes, on clauses and phrases, yes, the general idea of Federalist 51 might show up, or a way you can integrate it in there. We definitely want the limits. We definitely want preamble. I'm looking at my notes here that I've got. Yep. Federalism. We should know the role of federalism. What is federalism? All that kinds of stuff. Chapter 3 stuff. I believe there's mandates and things of that nature in there. We should know that. Separation of powers. All that fun stuff. Express, implied, concurrent. All that stuff. Okay? So yes, I guess in that sense, everything's fair game. Some is more fair game than others. Did the 17th Amendment just change the President and Senate's mode of election for modern times? Okay, so the President's not in the 17th Amendment. It's just the Senate. Okay, so when we talked about the ballot system and how things were changing, maybe I got that confused in the sense that I said something out loud that confused everyone. Okay, so what I meant to say is that with the 17th Amendment, what happens is that the Senate moves from state legislatures picking who the senator is to a direct election by the people. So that sort of changes that idea of balance, where every section of the population picks one part but doesn't have more than one part. So the House was picked by the people. The Senate, originally picked by state legislatures, are now going to be picked by the people. And the Electoral College, which doesn't change by the 17th Amendment, and really doesn't change by the 12th. The only reason why it changes a little bit on the 12th is instead of voting for two people, you wanted to be president. The people in the Electoral College only vote for one person for president and one person for vice president. Now, that whole idea behind that gets hijacked by political parties in a way and becomes more of a rubber stamp that uses party faithful to support a candidate that was chosen by the popular vote. But originally, it wasn't supposed to be that way. It was supposed to be that wise body. So the 17th Amendment, in the end, just changes the mode of election for the Senate to be population-based as opposed to state legislatures. Now, it does allow state legislatures to have the executive of the state choose a replacement until, if there's ever a vacancy, until the next general election. So it brings the states back into it a different way, but not to the degree it was prior to the 17th. Okay, that is all the questions I had for today. Keep them coming if you have any other ones. All right, see you guys.